So Wuthering Waves has been out for quite a few hours now, and I have been enjoying playing it, but overall I think there has been some issues and a lot of people are having problems as well, which is all too common for a 2024 game release of this size, and especially with Unreal Engine, this is all too common. A lot of Unreal Engine games have terrible optimization at the start just because of under experience when it comes to developing an Unreal Engine. Um, I think this is going to get solved, but for a launch game that's trying to build up a lot of hype in the player base, this is going to turn a lot of players away, which is really sad. For me, the game is like an 8 out of 10. I mean, I'm really enjoying it, even with the performance issues on my PC. It's quite literally just so much micro stutter. It's like a rendering issue, and I know a lot of other people are having it. I don't know exactly what it is, but I can assume it's going to get fixed. I've actually had great performance on mobile, and I can tell they've actually optimized it way more on mobile than they did in the beta, which is nice to see. Now I know people are still having issues with lower end chips, but unfortunately, even the developers said themselves in a recent interview that the game isn't built around mobile like a lot of other gacha games are. It's actually built around the PC platform for Unreal Engine, so you can really only expect so much that they're going to do when it comes to optimizing on mobile. It's just going to be hard to build around it and port these demanding graphics like on PC to mobile. But the problem is it's also struggling on their main platform that they're building around on PC as well, just because it wasn't fully optimized for release, I feel like. And I would assume they're going to address this. There's no way that they don't. And overall, the combat is still great. Sure, the story at the start is not so good. That's most gacha games. It's a lot of lore dump. And I'm not really playing for the story, to be honest. I'm playing more for the gameplay. And I've really been enjoying the gameplay. I'm going to keep playing. I don't mind having, stutters or performance problems. As someone that has played on lower end hardware a lot of my life, I have been able to handle the lower settings and lower graphic settings. But for someone who has a good PC now, it is sad to see that the game still struggles to run on my decent hardware. And some other people are experiencing it on even like a 4080, which is crazy to me because that's way above their recommended specs. But I think for mobile players, if you have a lower end chip and it's just not looking good, you know, I hate to say it, but maybe take a break and see if they address the patches. You can keep playing, but for me, I've actually had a better experience playing on mobile than I have on PC. My device has been smooth as butter on mobile, and I can tell the visuals are a little bit better. I mean, the character textures are still pretty trashy, but what can you do? It's mobile and it's brand new. Whereas something like Genshin Impact has had years of optimization already. Their release might have gone a little bit more smoothly, but with Kuro's staff, this is their first global launch per se, with worldwide all around, and this is like their first big project. So they're really stretching out into some new territory that they haven't done before, which is really showing with this launch. And it sucks for a lot of people. I mean, as you can see, Sip Sip Stefan here had issues with just mobs being knocked randomly and hovering kind of like this, which is kind of funny. There's some bugs. I mean, it's only expected, and there was bugs like this in the beta. Obviously, the localization for English still feels kind of off, which is fine. I mean, most people that play Weeb games don't play in English anyways, but if you're going to, it might suck for you. I don't really care about that. English dub is always going to be kind of meh compared to other dubs. Um, and then this is a fellow Twitter user that's just complaining about the mobile gameplay and how it looks blurry and how there's no beta testers on mobile if they couldn't even figure out how to optimize it. And that's the problem. There was a lot of mobile beta testers actually, and for the most part, people are playing on high-end chips, so they don't need to say, "Hey, this needs to be optimized more," because for the most part, the game on higher-end chips is running just fine, and like higher-end Apple devices, it's running just fine. But I think a lot of people that are playing on the lower side with a couple year old phones are really struggling, and I get that sucks. But for a new gen game running on Unreal Engine, it's really only expected. There's only so much I think they can do when it comes to optimizing on mobile, and I think the mobile issues are going to be more common going for a little bit longer than something like the PC issues until they can figure out how to maybe better optimize for lower end chips, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Another sad thing for mobile players is controller support is not there for release right now. I guess it's still being worked on. I'm not sure when it's going to be coming. So for now, if you don't have a way to connect a controller with screen mapping or another technology to map it, Bluetooth controllers or something like that might not work, um, which is disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. And I guess a lot of people are also running into when you want to edit the controls, move them around, and change the transparency. It's not there on some of their devices. It was there on my device, so I don't know exactly why it's not showing up. It is in the controller settings, and it's the second option where there's a button that you can click to go into the overall screen settings. I don't know if people are missing that, but it was on my device, and I had a blast playing on mobile. But I think that's not the experience for everyone right now, and everyone's experiencing different things. Even bigger content creators are struggling to run the game, which is unfortunate to see. Now, for me, it is a disaster launch, but I'm still going to play the game. Overall, the game's still an 8 out of 10 for me, even with the performance issues. But it's a gacha game, and it's supposed to be another Genshin quote-unquote clone, the next copy, and a lot of people are already comparing it to Genshin's current state, saying, oh man, this game's garbage, which I get it. You shouldn't do that. This is the launch of a game that probably needed a couple more months of optimization and development before it came out, but they had to get this game out because there's other competition now coming out after this. So they really didn't, have a lot of time, I guess. They were probably worried and they felt maybe they had done enough, but it's clear that there is still some stuff that's left to be desired. And I think the best thing you can do is have patience with Kuro. I mean, with PGR, they had the same issues with a terrible launch, and the game is super optimized, but, that's on a different engine. It's hard to say what the developers can cook up on Unreal Engine, but I'm hoping for better performance for everybody so that they can enjoy the game like I've been enjoying. The boss fights are great. I mean, if you're still looking for good combat, I'd still try the game. It's perfectly fine for that. But some areas are going to be laggy. It's only expected, but I'm hoping for better optimization, and I'm hoping that people can maybe help forgive them a little bit for this release. I mean, I'm not trying to be too, it sucks. I mean, the team, it's their first project like this, and it sucks to see that they're having all these issues, but it's just all too common in Unreal Engine. I think it's just such a unfortunate developing platform. I mean, I really enjoy the graphics and what you can do with it, but a lot of games have just been under optimized. So we'll see if anything gets fixed as it goes on, but that's all I got.